Day number 21. We are out of the forest. We've been well and truly topped up by amazing hospitality from David and Alison, Zeb's parents. Fed us well, Thai green curry yesterday, a few luxuries, wine out of a cheese platter, wine out of a wine glass, a little bit of whiskey, Tasmanian whiskey. We've had bacon and eggs this morning, poached eggs no less. Delightful swim, even found a rope swing that was probably designed for children, but we had a go. We behaved like children on that, had a bit of fun. And now we're heading into Jindabyne and then finding some tracks up towards Canberra, Cabramatta, not all the way to Tumut, but towards Tumut, and then coming into Canberra from the west. Just beyond Dead Horse Gap, now looking at those clearings up there, Thredbo Village. Well, not the village is down here. Thredbo ski runs. You can see the chairlift going up. The walk to, there's the station at the top, which will be the walk, commencing the walk to the top of Kosciuszko. So we're just driving past, and we just couldn't help but drop into Wild Brumby Distillery. We both have fond memories of this place. And we just think we might need a bottle to celebrate tonight. Very appropriate, I think. Maybe have a little bit of tasting tonight, right now. Bit of num-nums. Alright, so we left Jindabyne and headed towards Charlotte Pass, and had to convince the National Park Pass lady that we can in fact get to Canberra this way. And that's only through what we've marked out on the maps, which could have some gates in the way, or roads that are closed. Can't think of power station. No authorised. No unauthorised. Huh. Look at all this granite! All that granite kind of conglomerated into one big bit of granite, but I'll take it. Yeah, I can take one of these back with me. I've got to collect a couple of rocks. We are on the snowy mountain highway, heading to Adaminaby after a change of plans and a locked gate. But this is kind of lovely, racing that farmer over there in a quad bike. He's winning. Magic. Never would imagine. What an unsurprising delight. Imagine National Park. An unsurprising. No, I'll do that again. Bike on your right. What a surprising delight. There you go. Mountains on either side. Imagine National Park. More granite boulders? Yes! So we thought we would just do a bit of the old Cotter Road or Tippin Villa, I don't know what they call it, the classic motorbike loop heading into Canberra, and this just feels like a bit of a victory lap. We're kind of just boodling along, sports bikes are flying past us the other way. Zeb is ecstatic that we're boodling merrily together, and it's actually quite lovely. In the context of the victory lap, I'm endorsing the boodling. Yeah, Zev loves boodling. He's sauntering along, not a care in the world. We're doing 80 and 100 zones. It's just nice. Celebrating the win, at least we're very close to arriving safely after 21 days. I'm still, quite frankly, surprised we're out of the Dargo forest. So, it just feels nice. Where'd we go? Straight to Westcott? Yeah! Let's go roll down the lawn of Parliament House!
Hello.
Hello.
We are here day after finishing the trip to catch you up on the final
here.
day, which is day number 21, coming to you from Canberra, specifically from Sarah's front porch, a friend of ours who's also on a different adventure of her own, and offered her place up for us to crash at for a few days while while we, I don't know, get settled again. Oh, and the dog next door is going to enjoy the
Vicious dingoes surround us.
So, I guess we'll recap day number 21 and then a bit of a summary at the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick us off? Day number 21?
21, Tom Groggin Campground. Good start, mostly because we had breakfast made for us. So.
And still the elation of having made it.
Yeah, true. That was still very much there. For those that were wondering, there was no dew. I slept the entire night without my fly on the tent. Woke up.
And also not very cold.
No, it's warm. Woke up, pretty relaxed morning.
Yeah.
Didn't get into it too quickly. Thank you to David and Alison once again for providing us with tea.
Cup of tea
coffee.
ready to go as soon as we got out of the tent.
Yep.
Bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs with
Coffee again.
tomatoes, yeah. Mushrooms as well. Peeled mushrooms, in fact. Then coffee, then we went for a swim, which was really great.
Yeah.
Found a little rope swing.
Designed for children, and we behaved as such.
Load tested by adults, us. Neither of us got broken on it, and I had a great time, so that was good fun. And we suited up and got going.
We headed off. A bit of a slower start, probably 10:30, but that was okay.
Yeah.
And then we headed into Jindabyne. We could have diverted Jindabyne, but we really needed fuel. And on the way past Jindabyne, I first of all, I guess, the climb up out of Tom Groggin was really cool over Dead Horse Gap. That's my first time seeing that. And beautiful alpine scenery.
Yeah.
Quite reminiscent for you.
Yeah, very
for
nostalgic.
you.
It was great. Really loved it. Yeah.
And then we rode through Thredbo. There was a bit of a mountain bike event going on.
Yeah. Packed.
A lot going on there. And then I don't know, what is that road?
I can't remember.
Rode down to Jindabyne, went past Wild Brumby Schnapps Distillery, which we've both been to before a number of times. But
physically went past, discussed it, decided it was rude to go past
rude.
without putting the blinker on, so we adjusted our course.
We had a little bit of a tasting and acquired a bottle to celebrate arriving here, which we haven't opened yet. So I think that'll be coming later tonight.
Yeah.
And we should say we're drinking a champagne to celebrate, which was one that has been delivered from Claymore Wines that arrived and I picked up from the post office today. So it's all looking up. So after that, we headed into Jindabyne. We fueled up. We got a bit of a early lunch to get us going, and then we had planned a route out through towards Charlotte's Pass, Guthica, eventually onto Cabramurra, and then towards Tumut, not all the way to Tumut, and then back into the towards, I guess, doing a lap around the western side of Canberra. And we arrived at the Guthica power station.
Very exciting.
Part
of the Snowy Hydro scheme.
True. The original.
Great technical engineering feat.
Great.
By Australian.
Probably many other YouTube channels you could get all up in that grill.
It's great.
And then we arrived at the track there was a dirt road, looked lovely, perfect for a bike. Big gate across it, and it was a management track only.
Which we could have scouted around, but they were also doing aerial shooting of brumbies. And
Zeb was dressed as a horse. So so that's a bit of a lesson. Maybe we'll talk about that later, which is Gaia maps.
A lesson that we should have learned already.
In route planning,
but we've had to learn again for a second time.
So really, that whole itinerary was contingent on being
hinging on the hinge of the gate.
There. Yes, for the Himi. Hinging on the hinge for the Himi. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And when we went through the national parks
was okay.
pass, we had to buy a pass. The lady said, "Where are you going?" And we said, "We're going to Canberra." She said, "You can't go through Canberra this way." And we said, "Yeah, you watch us."
We can.
About 10 kilometres later, we got turned around we sheepishly rode past the pass office. So that was disappointing for our final day to not come off. We could have gone around Cam Coburn way, but that would have been back through Jindabyne, back out beyond Thredbo. It was later in the day. In hindsight, we probably could have gone straight to Cam Coburn, which is something we talked about, but worried about fuel, and we would have missed Wild Brumby.
Yeah.
So we were a bit disappointed and thought, we're going to have to do a bit of a boring blacktop road back to Canberra, and we're really hoping for a bit of a victory lap final day.
Yeah.
But it actually turned out really well.
Yeah.
We headed towards what's the town called?
Adaminaby?
Prior to that, we turned off starts with B.
I don't know, that B place.
Not Thredbo.
Oh, Bombard?
It'll come to
Berrydale?
Yeah, that could be right.
Berrydale.
So Berrydale, we took
Turn
a left towards Adaminaby, and then just prior to Adaminaby, headed north, and then really nice blacktop roads, bit of then dirt roads, really nice farmland.
Yeah.
Granite boulders all in the...
Josh got very excited.
In the paddocks.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Saw another eagle.
Yeah, true.
Wedgie.
I think you nearly ran over a snake at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I did actually. So did you.
Yeah, that was the day before,
Oh, yeah, and then I almost ran over.
And then Namaji National Park, that was a bit of a treat. Really
that
nice.
came out of nowhere.
Scenery there, a bit more dirt road, a few lookouts.
Yeah.
And then we arrived at Tharwa, which is just south of Canberra, and then took the Cotter, which is a classic kind of motorbike blacktop route around the west of Canberra.
We took a responsible pace, and we're overtaken by bikes going probably 2 times, maybe 1.5 times the speed limit.
Yeah, there's definitely
absolutely
some speedy bikers out there.
Yeah.
But
Josh admitted that he enjoyed poodling.
within the context of the final day
He enjoyed poodling.
and a victory lap, soaking it in. Really maybe not wanting to face all the admin that we'd have in Canberra. And in that context only, the poodling was appropriate.
Yeah.
And then we arrived, so they came in the back of Cotter, and then arrived at my future house, which is in Curtin, ACT. Saw my house for the first time that I've rented, and then says again, stashed some keys, which were in a very gross feeling bag. I didn't tell you that. Says it put the keys in the bag and hid it behind something, and I reached around the little panel to get it, and I thought it was a dead animal. So thanks for that, Says. And then arrived here. So really I don't know, we then did a very quick turnaround to go out and meet up with one of Zeb's friends and have some drinks last night. So I'm not sure that we've really had the...
Today's been admin. I've been working on the bike, getting that ready for it to go back. And you've been trying to
sorting out my house and collected my car and a whole bunch of different things, you know, a bit of removal admin. So really, I think this might be... Poor Morgan last night copped a bit of the trip summary, but we'll go through some of it now to really just probably help us as well to sink into the completion of the trip. So it was a good day yesterday in the end.
A bit of a treat. That was surprising. That's, I think, significant change of how much we enjoyed it compared to a bit of a defeatist feeling when we got turned around at Guthiga. That was the first time that a day has been absolutely
derailed.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But then to have something just crop up out of nowhere, that was really nice.
Video editing is taking a little while. My phone's full of storage, so that's a thing to worry about if you're doing it on your phone. It's really going to have to shuffle a few things around to get these out. All right. A few, I guess, summary items.
What are we starting with?
Thoughts on your bike? Are you happy with your bike choice?
Yeah.
Bike changes?
Very...
So, summary, if you're stumbling across us, Zeb's been on the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450.
I was previously on the Himalayan 411, had that bike, was planning to do the trip on that bike. Very relieved that I went with the 450. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did if it was on the 411, full stop. Certainly the sand days would not have happened.
We would have had to alter we wouldn't have created this itinerary.
Well, you created this itinerary before I had the 450.
You were coming around.
No, very happy with the 450. For me, really good bike. I'm a pretty novice off-road rider. I am a novice.
I don't think you can say that anymore.
Oh, huge. I've graduated.
Oh, yeah. You're bang on intermediate territory.
Wow. Lower intermediate. Novice off-road rider. It's got pretty decent power for like how big the bike is.
Sorry, I just need to say, Zed's this whole time being really resting on this, I'm a novice bike rider, and really saying, I'm not a bike rider, I'm just doing this one trip, I'll probably sell the Himalayan at the end. Really feeling, which is appropriate, you are very new to riding, but having now done this trip, and we actually arrived in Bor National Park, and the two bikers we'd camped with on other adventure bikes that tend to do day trips, it looked like they'd ridden all their lives, and they were looking at Zeb and conversing with Zeb as if you were the oracle of all things adventure riding after this trip. So that was a bit.
Gave him a few pointers on what they should do with their bikes, and your body position's not great here, mate. Raise your hand.
So you're definitely not a novice anymore.
Okay. Anyway, point is, the bike, great choice for me. Much more power, which was nice. The engine was good, so it actually behaved on the highway. I could do highway speeds and keep up. I had enough power to overtake and keep up with traffic. That was good. Getting up steep hills, really good low end, torquey, tractory bike.
Yeah. Very forgiving.
very resilient. I have dropped that thing, literally countless. Have no idea how many times I dropped it, and it is held up. It's in pretty good nick, like really good nick.
I don't think it would be a stretch to say nearly 100 tons.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And the other thing, low center of gravity. So light and low center of gravity really helped for being able to manage that bike with maybe not as great technique or awareness of stability. The only downside I would say is I'm a bit longer, and you
didn't find the standing position.
Standing position was a little bit uncomfortable, and I really had to bend my knees quite a lot to crouch down over the bike. But with that came the added advantage that I was lower rather than being top heavy. So very happy with the ye old Himalayan.
Any dramas you had with your bike along the way? So, I mean, on the yesterday, it was struggling a little bit in the Alpine region in particular, and getting up the hills.
Yeah.
But as you
when we say
the
struggling, I mean it just wasn't picking up as fast as it had been.
Yeah.
And changed the air filter today, and it was brown. Yeah. Like it looked like there was a thick cake of mud on the inside.
We both had a version of a pre-filter that we changed halfway through the trip. Yeah. But the back section was quite dusty, especially for you.
Yeah.
So no surprise there.
Yeah. No real major issues for the Himi. Broke one of the indicators.
You did have in the off you had a couple of days ago. It was laying on its side for a while.
Yeah.
And then a bit of fuel had.
I deliberately put it on its side, by the way. Just laid it down really carefully in the middle of the road, around a gravelly corner.
Which is why it took so long to pick it up.
That's where I wanted to put it.
Groaning.
That's where I wanted to put the bike.
And the other cars that nearly ran over you.
Yeah. Thank God.
So after that, Zeb was riding and it came up with a misfire.
Misfired a few times, kept cutting out, probably for about...
We think just got a bit
15
of air in the
Ks,
fuel system or something.
15 Ks, kept doing that. But that was the only time.
Yeah.
And from all the other times that I dropped it and whacked it,
yeah,
that was the only time that it had an issue. Which was a good time because if that had been on any of the other, like when we were trying to do steep climbs or anything, we would have been in real trouble. But great bike.
I was on a Yamaha T7 that I bought a couple of months before the trip. I'd only put maybe 2,000 Ks on it to a couple of overnight trips. It had a lot of things on it already, which is great. Really the only thing I put on was heated hand grips and which I didn't need, it was more for being here in Canberra, and a safari tank. Definitely loving the T7. It was a great bike. I did find it, it was a big bike. I found it pretty intimidating to start getting used to riding it before the trip, and then I definitely got a lot more comfortable with the bike on this trip. I found, some of the more technical hills and sand, it can be a bit of an overwhelming bike. I'm not particularly tall by any means. I'm 175 centimeters, and it's not lowered. So I'm kind of...
I had to give it a little bit of a boost up onto the bike.
It's nice of you to bring the boost seat. Yeah.
On there. Steady him. You're right, little fella. You're right.
Got any muscles. For someone who had to...
Hey, shut up.
Shut up. Your bike 100 times.
Not 100 times.
So...
We can know that for sure.
The Tenere went well. What I would say is...
Loctite.
More Loctite. Yeah. I've lost it. Well, we both lost a few bolts.
I lost one.
Had some... Okay.
Sorry.
Is that important?
Yes. No.
So, Loctite, some bolts you don't pull out, so just more Loctite. I think I've never done a trip this long, and normally if you're doing day trips or a couple of days, you might notice a loose bolt at the end of the trip, you tighten it up, it's no big deal. But when you're going for that long, you don't have time to really look over the bikes properly every day, then Loctite everything. One of the screen, some of the rubber mounted kind of grommet things pulled through. Everything, we could get through everything, and I think
definitely
nothing major. Bike started up well.
Trip ending. Yeah,
and the other, I guess, lesson out of that is that there are a lot of Bunnings shops, stores across Australia. So you just need to get through to survive a couple of days.
Have a few bolt sizes and nuts that you can get in there, like just make do, and then get to a better fixing point. Yeah.
We did wear through our tyres much faster than we thought. Not so much the fronts, but the rear.
Yeah.
The tyre I had, I did get changed in Port Lincoln, and then yours got changed in near Adelaide. And yours is still wearing relatively quickly as well. Yeah. So that was definitely something that caught us by surprise. No punctures. I didn't want to say that until now.
Yeah.
But what a huge win. I mean, we were of course prepared, but we did manage pressures a lot. We were constantly airing up, airing down if we were on-road, off-road sand, and probably kept the tyre pressure up a little bit in the off-road to just avoid pinch flaps, but I think that paid off really well. So
very much so.
Very happy with that. All right. What else? What about? I guess hard to pick standout locations, and we don't want to dwell on that too much. And you guys will form your own opinion based on our photography,
Yeah.
or lack of. But standout locations.
Difficult to say standout. I think a few things. You're gonna hate this.
Okay.
Penong, Windmill Town. Where'd that come from? Brilliant. That was amazing.
Doesn't matter.
No, I think the Nullarbor Sea Cliffs, that whole period where we were either below the plateau, below the cliffs, or above them camping on top, that was specky. That was amazing. Seeing that shift in Australia and the drop down, and then where it was Bilbunyi sand dunes, or then being on top of it and just the sheer end of Australia, that then there's next stop is Antarctica, the South Pole.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I really loved that.
For me, the whole southwest corner of WA, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Super remote. There's not many people around.
A lot of sand though.
Very beautiful. Well, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sand.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Flinders, that was spectacular.
Yeah,
We
Flinders,
both
incredible.
thoroughly enjoyed that.
Eyre Peninsula? No.
I thought it was okay, but you
Yeah,
didn't
average.
enjoy it.
Compared to, and we've talked about this, compared to the coming off the southwest corner of Australia,
that's what you're
Australia.
expecting.
I was expecting something similar to that in terms of remote, natural beauty, stunning.
It still is natural beauty.
I wouldn't say beauty. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Sure, you can say that. I won't.
I will. And it looks like we're having a tiff tonight.
Yeah. It's been 3 weeks. We've had enough of each other.
And Vic High Country, I've never seen that area. It was very eye-opening to me around the sheer scale of, I mean, it's in the name, it is high, but the amount of...
The contours.
It's such a big area too.
Whoever designed that area was like, contours, we need more contours.
But you would be on top of a ridge and you could just see ridge lines and ridge lines and ridge lines.
Yeah.
As far as the eye could see, there's so remote, there's very few towns there. It was fantastic. So I really enjoyed exploring that area.
Yeah, that's great.
So I guess that's wave tops the locations for us.
Mm-hmm. Clare Valley was lovely.
As an experience.
That was
That was
delightful.
great.
That was an
Yeah.
experience,
All right, you want to give us a... actually, shout out to Dylan. Dylan did ask in the comments for highlights, lowlights every day. We have been discussing those. We're not really organised enough by the time we do the recording deal to get that on camera, and we'd probably forget anyway.
And it's pretty rambling. This is rambling,
Yeah.
and then we ramble even more when we do the
You
highlights.
didn't want that, but we do talk about it every day.
Yeah.
So we might, as a tip of the hat to you, Dill, we'll do that here.
Yeah, okay.
You want to give us your low light?
Oh, okay, quick few lowlights, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's difficult to be a very
I
big
hope you
lowlight.
outnumber the highlights.
You will see. Okay, so low light, the Cardo braking. I think that threw actually a spanner in the works for the trip. That was really difficult. It was also
That's
just
the
changed.
intercom for Zeb,
Yeah,
if you're
the
not familiar
intercom
with
that
the
we were
brand.
talking with. It just really affected also our vibe, being able to enjoy each other's company, go along, poodle along, have a chat, have a yarn.
Not necessarily cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. That was really frustrating, and that we couldn't control that. Just happened. So that was frustrating. Low light, probably day 3, Mermaid Beach.
Yeah.
Not because we didn't get to Mermaid Beach, because I twisted my ankle that day. My ankle was really quite sore, and I wasn't very good in sand, and there was just a constant very painful feedback loop every time I came off the bike or put my foot down, and that probably had me at my the limit of my resilience. I really struggled that day, so I was pretty happy to get through that. But I learned a few lessons for myself from that. So in some ways, a bit of a highlight.
Yeah.
But not one that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
What was one of the other ones? There's probably one more. Oh, and then I think actually being spent. But actually, once again, not a low light, just
And that was
I
part
felt
of it.
low.
We knew this was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Taking so much off-road, about 7,000 k's. I don't think we've checked the actual odometer, but the planned route was 7,000 kilometres. A whole lot of off-road. Relatively new rider. I'm new to adventure riding. We didn't know whether they were achievable days or not. And I think a lot of the days, one of the lessons for us is there's a lot of time kind of, I don't say wasted, but a lot of time in a lot of the days where you spend not riding, i.e. getting to a town, you got to fill up, actually we need to go to a pharmacy to get something,
Strapping tape
where's
to my ankle.
Bunnings, where have we got to go?
Yeah.
Going to Woolies and then shopping and then
Figure out what we
actually
want for dinner.
oh, it'd be nice to get some beers. Okay, we go get that, get some ice, put it in the cooler bag. All of that stuff takes time. Filling up your water,
repacking the bike. Yeah. All
So-
those little things eat into your transit time.
Yeah.
And then that affects kind of your ability to decompress at the end of the day.
And then it's hard to catch up.
Yeah.
If you get in late one day, it's hard to leave early the next day. I think you could be a bit more agile if you wanted. The video editing did take time. I'm glad we did it, but it definitely added to the.
Sorry, just a fact check there. Josh has been very generous and said, I'm glad we did it. Josh has done the mammoth effort and has done pretty much all of the video editing, the filtering. I've demanded that some videos be in there. He's told me to shove it because they're ridiculous
So I woke
and
up
completely
at
irrelevant.
5 in the morning to
Yeah.
do it while you were sleeping.
Yeah, Josh has done a huge effort. So shout out to Josh, everyone. Josh, this whole YouTube channel is thanks to Josh. Josh has done a huge amount. So
It's actually been really
acknowledge
fun. It's been fun to share it with friends and family who we wouldn't normally get to get to, and people follow. A lot of people following along we didn't expect would stick with it. So thank you very much. But yes, point of that was it was hard to catch up because you go, oh, we want to try to get that out and get it off our chest for the day.
Yeah.
Trying to chase some reception to get it uploaded.
Yeah.
It was a fun element, but I'm glad to be not video editing after this long weekend.
Yeah. So after all that,
Yeah.
lowlights for you. I haven't done highlights yet because I'm still
Yeah, I
thinking
don't have
of lowlights.
I don't know. I think I really, I really enjoyed all of the trip. There are a few low points that I would call all of it Type 2 fun. Like, there's nothing there that wasn't really Type 2 fun for me, so I don't really mind. I think
Josh loved it when we lost Cardo comms. He was like, finally, break.
I think, like, a minor thing, there were a couple of days where we were a bit at each other. There was one day in the middle which we talked to on the film, and then, like, a couple of days where we'd just be a bit, like, just not enjoying it in the moment so much. And that's frustrating because you're like, you kind of think to yourself, like, this should be amazing. I'm doing what I love doing, out adventuring, but you do just get tired. But again, that's kind of to be expected. Yeah. And we worked through that pretty well.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. We actually worked. That didn't linger, and we actually identified it, addressed it, engaged with it, and moved on pretty quickly.
Probably, I'll hold Kaiguna for now. I think just there's something we haven't talked about yet that I'll put a pin in as my low light, which was on the hill, and it may be a bit of recency bias here, but on the hill of day number 20, I think it is, where we are stuck in the forest, and it's already 8 o'clock at night. We're trying to get up this hill. Zeb spears the bike in, lays the bike down for a little rest again, and you're exhausted. I'm tired. It's been a big day. We're not sure how we can get out, or whether even if we were to push ahead up this hill, whether it would actually lead us out to a track that would get us to where we need to go. Yeah. And Seb had put his helmet down on the ground on the side of the track. It was a super steep hill, and we both came up to pick the bike up. We're trying to wrangle the bike around to take it back down the hill or something to get it to a spoon drain. That's right, to get it up onto a spoon drain. And as we were doing that, one of us has stepped on a stick or some foliage that disrupted Zeb's helmet on the ground, and this hill was steep. We couldn't even stand on the thing. And then Zeb's helmet, with the GoPro and everything, just tumbles down the grass to start with, then onto the rocky, rutted hill, and tumbled, slowed, then tumbled, and tumbled, and just went forever. We're both holding the bike, we were just looking at it like a train crash, and it was just like, oh my god, what are we doing? And there was a fire there, and it was just like, this isn't going so well. Yeah. But again, I think, and similar to your bathtub of that is, I think in those moments you have to learn to just, I'm not very good at relinquishing control, and it's a good lesson in going, we're okay, we can stay here 2-3 nights if we need to, we can walk out if we need to, we can leave the bikes here and we can sort it out. It's going to be okay, it's just that the plan we had is not coming off. And it ends up being a good lesson for you to go just sit with the uncomfortable state. It's not nice. So I'm going to put a pin in that as the low light, but it's also a good lesson.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Highlight?
I don't think I could nail a highlight.
Okay. Champagne's
Champagne is pretty good. I'm not sure. Maybe being on top of the sea cliffs, the Nullarbor sea cliffs, and looking out, only because I think that was the day when Was that the day when sand had clicked? No, it was the day after. Because Kaiguna, getting to Kaiguna, it was the day after Kaiguna. But I think that was the moment where I felt I hadn't had like a terrible day of riding. I actually stayed upright most of the time. And
We were just fun exploring.
I think that was when I was like, oh my, we're here. We're
doing it.
on the Nullarbor. We're separate from people. Yeah. This is somewhere where no one can get to, and obviously the other places, absolutely. But I think the achievement of that kind of balanced out. Instead of, there wasn't as much struggle to focus on.
Actually, an honourable mention for a low light for me was, I don't know what day it was, day 2 or 3, and a few things the wheels started falling off the bus early on. We weren't getting the wins we were hoping with. Sand was really hard. A couple of things broke. You rolled your ankle. My boots fell apart. They were brand new boots. One of the nuts, like the pivot mechanism, fell apart, and a couple of other things happened. And you just go, we're on day 2 or 3 here. Like, how are we going to make 21 days? Yeah. So it just started to feel a bit like, yeah. But I think it was just a few bed-in failures with new bikes that we hadn't really used much. But anyway. So highlight was Cliff's. Highlight for me,
I don't want to say it's Cliff's because that's
okay.
I don't have a highlight. There was too many highlights.
Terrible.
It was all trash. Nah, I can't put a highlight down.
Yeah,
I'll try and think of one. But
similar to me, maybe this is a bit of a cop out. I think the highlight for me was just pulling it off. It was an ambitious itinerary, ambitious plan with again new rider to start with.
Yeah, that says a bit of something, right? Josh is like, oh, we pulled it off. I followed along blindly, being like, Josh knows what he's doing. This will be fine. We can do this. Yeah, but it's a highlight that we got here.
No, what I mean is that I've done some of that section where and why I said I'd come back to Kaiguna is that section for Bilbunya Dunes, Cape Arid, Israelite Bay, Kaiguna, Nullarbor Cliffs.
Yeah.
I've done that at the car before, and I remember thinking this would be really cool to do on a bike. But I every time I thought about doing it, it was on a skinny bike, and I thought you'd need a support vehicle. So it was really cool for me to be able to do that unsupported on adventure bikes in really hard terrain. And that Kaiguna day is close to being a low light in that it was really challenging. We were hot, we were bothered, we were overheating, we were getting through our water much faster than we. It was 42 degrees in sand, 41 I think. I don't want to get to the fish to get too big. And if it had have stayed that hot, we would have gotten through our water. We would have had to just park in the shade, wait till it was the evening to keep riding. It was becoming a pretty good challenge. We did have to alter a bit, and we didn't go down to Twilight Cove, but that's okay. I very much feel like we achieved that objective. So that, I guess, signifies to me the whole overall, achieving the outcome, which was following along the coast, seeing some really cool highlights of Australia along the way.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked with that.
Right, what else is on our list?
A couple of shout outs, I think.
Yes.
If we may.
Yep.
Shout out to Margs for seeing us off, coming down for the first night and staying at Warren River or Drafties. I can't remember which one you convinced me it was.
I think it was Drafties. I think she convinced you it was Drafties.
Shout out to your parents, David and Allison, for being there for the end of the trip and at Tom Groggin. That was really great, and hospitality there. Again, says thanks for the place. And I guess we won't name everybody, but thanks to everyone who we just strangers we met along the way that were really interested in the trip
and supported us in little ways as well.
Yeah,
whether it be a beer,
lend us some tools.
Yeah, just really
and then
makes you feel welcome and really peps you up a little bit to keep going.
And not that we're chasing subscribers, but then we're really keen to subscribe to the channel, to follow along, and interact with us. So that was really good. And really added to the whole kind of story. And also to people who don't know us that are following on YouTube too, that didn't meet us along the way. That's actually really cool. So thank you very much. I guess now's a good time. Shout out to you, mate. Thank you for coming along. Thanks for being a top sport through all of what we put you through. Your riding, honestly, your riding improved so much. I think, I mentioned to Zeb the other day, and I know he doesn't agree with this sentiment, but there is a sense of Zeb's trusted me to not kill him here.
Actually, no, I genuinely did. So, yep.
And a bit of I hope I haven't I haven't pushed you too
Stretched
far.
to be a little
Yeah,
bit,
if
yeah.
you had have gotten really injured, you know, you just, there's a bit of worry there. But I'm thankful that you continued to trust me every day to stick to the itinerary, and excellent company. So thanks.
Kind of
very
didn't have a choice at times.
Yeah.
I was trapped.
It's the only way to Canberra.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose I should reciprocate.
Yeah, that'd
Thank
be
you.
nice.
Yeah. Was there a little bit too long a pause there? I was like, oh. I gotta think of
Should we say something else and then you can do it so it'll be more genuine? It won't feel so forced.
I think it's gonna sound forced either way. Through gritted teeth. Yeah, let's go for something else.
Okay. I guess just general, maybe you got any takeaways or insights?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the things I learnt was on the day at Mermaid Beach, the low light, when I was really struggling. I became so fixated upon not wanting to be a cop-out on the trip and not wanting to let this small inconvenience, this pain get in the way of succeeding, that I think I probably made some poor decisions in terms of persevering and pressing on.
Yeah, I think on that day in particular, we'd said, hey, do we really want to keep going here, or we turn around, or let's not continue exploring, let's go start heading out.
And I was pretty adamant. I was like, no, we need to do this.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think maybe that's one of the reasons why maybe I got through some of the other things, because I was determined to finish that. But it was probably a foolish thing to do when I was in a fair bit of pain. I was riding poorly. It was dusk. We couldn't see very well.
Yeah.
We really stacked the odds against us, and not for a lot of
It was
gain.
stunning though. You probably don't remember how beautiful that
I was
sunset
just in pain. yeah. But I think but being aware, I think being self-aware when you're really up against it, that was something that I haven't experienced for a little while, so that was good that was good. Interesting also to realise, I think, a bit of teamsmanship at times as well. I certainly did trust you a lot with the route we planned, the itinerary we had, where we were going, what we were doing, and having you as the motorbike sensei.
I like that.
Yeah, motorbiking sensei, you're welcome. That I think for a lot of the trip I defaulted very much to that and just let you have it.
Yeah.
And expected you to make decisions. And then there were a few times I realised where I think you actually do need a team to have a bit of to and fro and a discourse about things and make good decisions rather than just defaulting to one.
Yeah.
And it also makes it more enjoyable because then you're both engaged.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
A bit of development in the relationship of the way we progressed the trip.
Yeah. I'll talk about Gaia maps or route planning. So I guess there's probably a couple of different schools of thought out there around just following your nose versus planning it out in detail. I opted to plan it out in detail because I'm an engineer, probably. But but also my theory there was I didn't want to have to think about it on the run and think about, we're missing things, or take up the time each day trying to find cool things. So doing that in advance, one, it's kind of fun, and two, just means you don't have to worry about it on the trip. So that was really helpful. Gaia Maps is a great tool. It's very buggy though, which is frustrating. A lot of the routes got corrupted in the planning phase. You'd have to go back and replan them, so it takes a long time, but it's an amazing resource. And it's sometimes the dirt road versus track is hard to delineate, and even minor sealed road to dirt road I'd never really figured out. But one of the key things to recall if you're using Gaia Maps is there's a public track overlay where you can tick that bullet, and then it shows you green paths where people have been before. Again, you don't know whether it's walkers, hikers, mountain bikers, and in fact I suspect some aeroplanes, because there's some very straight lines for long periods of time through countryside. But that is really helpful to turn that on and go,
Or a technical savvy bird.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they're trying to get
Migratory bird.
some Strava segments or something.
Yeah.
So use the public maps. I think in most of the route planning I did, a couple I must not have, or it was a hiker, i.e. the Guthika Gate, so hot tip, look out for those. And for the most part, where we stuck to those public tracks, it worked out well. The Dargo day, or the day prior to Dargo, because we never made it there, we deviated from the planned route because we were running a bit late, and we chose tracks off Gaia without looking at the public tracks, and that's when we got into strife with the dead end road that was a marked track that wasn't a track anymore physically. So I would, if I was doing a trip like that again, I would still plan it in advance, so you can just follow your nose and enjoy the journey. But that's a hot tip.
planning in advance, I think, was also something we both enjoyed in hindsight. That we did. We actually planned. We prepped our bikes.
Yep.
We made sure we had spares of things.
Yep.
We thought about contingencies, and that paid enormous dividends.
Even little things like
Huge.
going
Little bolts.
I had a little bag of bolts that I knew
Yeah.
were the kind of right sizes and profile that I would need.
Yep.
Countersunk first, whatever,
Yeah.
and washers and nylock nuts and all those things. So when something goes wrong, you go, yeah, I got one of those. You chuck it in. Having a little thing of Loctite. The compressor was great. We used that a lot.
Yeah.
We did. I think tire. I think I talked about that already, but that's a worthwhile thing to invest in your tire pressures. We're happy with all our gear choices. If you've got any specific questions, put it in the comments and we'll get back to you. Otherwise,
we're talking for hours.
I think that's probably it for insights for me. I already spoke about some days just don't go to plan, and I'm someone who likes to be not necessarily in control, but to achieve the plan that you set out to do. And when the wheels fall off that, I kind of go, nah, that happened on Eyre Peninsula. We took a long time to get to, for whatever reason, to get to Lincoln National Park. We didn't go into some of the national park stuff. I was a bit grumpy because we deviated all that way, and I was like, we didn't do any adventuring. We come all this way. And
But then I fell off, so I was okay. We got an adventure.
So I think for me, the insight is just, you can't hold on to your plan too much, even though, it's easy to say, but hard to kind of be okay with that, at least for me.
Which is a good segue, so shout out to Josh.
Hey, here we go.
So motorbiking sensei, for planning this whole...
This won't last long.
This is actually all for show, just for the YouTube channel. We'll be having chats after this. I don't appreciate you putting me in this position. Thank you for the work you did in planning this. This is your vision, and you encouraged, dragged, lynched me along for the ride. So literally the ride, not the lynching. So thank you for that. That was phenomenal. Yes, you do like a plan and you do like to stick to it, but one of the things I found was really great. You're very steady and consistent the whole time. So even when things are going wrong, I think probably a little bit more consistent than I am in terms of emotional regulation. So that was great. That was pretty helpful. And encouragement, got a lot of encouragement, but also what I didn't get from you, I didn't get false praise. I didn't get a lot of praise. I just got, but I mean in a good way, I just got constant feedback about how to improve and how to do things better, so that we could progress. Which I think worked very well for both of us because we're pretty task oriented, and outcome
technique.
So always had something to improve upon, and also you helped me pick up my bike, and usually that involved Josh walking back 100 or 200 meters, usually up a hill, to help me pick up the bike, or back down a hill, which you'd then have to walk up.
I enjoyed the couple of times you let me ride your bike back up to where my bike was. I think, and that's a really important point, is having someone to help you, for an adventure bike, having someone to help you pick up your bike. I couldn't have, and there was a time we didn't know whether you could come because of your work commitments, and I certainly wouldn't have been comfortable in these locations with just me, because sometimes, even if you were to unload all the stuff out of your bike, if the bike's down a hill or stuck in the sand, there's no way that I would be comfortable doing that myself. So definitely thank you for that in return. And I think in terms of the working well together, the other thing is we both sometimes someone one of us, we don't know
Go on.
fall off, be in some pain you're working through, or be in whether it's falling off or just being grumpy about something, and just giving each other space. It's kind of like a marriage, I guess. Just letting it, okay, I'm not angry, I'm not frustrated, I'm going to give you the time you need, and then we'll come back.
That happened both ways,
exactly.
the grumpy thing,
definitely.
but certainly the falling off was mostly on me, and the groaning in pain. Josh did very well. There were certainly some times where I groaned explicitly and long and loudly, and I think you were pretty concerned that maybe something properly might have been buckled.
But I don't think it's helpful for me to say, what's wrong?
It wouldn't have been, but I also didn't know if it was wrong until the pain subsided and I could move whatever joint it was that was in pain.
Other thing, logistically, having we had a PLB, a locator beacon. That's just a nice bit of comfort, whether it's a spot tracker, Garmin Instinct, just knowing that you can push that button if you need to.
Yeah.
Help's still going to be many hours away in some cases, but
Also, the communications network actually between the helmets,
yeah.
I think is a must for that sort of trip, because it does mean one of those days when I came off and I didn't have comms.
Yeah.
It was half an hour before Josh came back, and that's nothing against you, although you could have come back earlier. It takes time because you don't know if the guy's just waiting a little bit or he's going a little bit slower. I do like to poodle, but if something had properly gone wrong, that would have been half an hour before help, half an hour longer before whatever. So yeah.
And I guess in case something falls into this basket we haven't already said, anything you would change or do differently?
I think the only thing I'd change is probably the way we approach the sand at the start. Only because day 1 and day 2 were both heavy sand, light, deep sand with a lot of corners. And I didn't have much experience in sand.
And kind of wheel track.
Yeah,
So
it was pretty very steep learning curve,
Yeah.
and very difficult to have small wins
Yeah.
to then increase. You're either doing it or you're off.
Ideally-
and by you, I mean me, because you were doing it.
Ideally, we'd probably just get the practice in beforehand, but given we were practicing on the run,
Yeah.
like, you know, I think said earlier, you know, day 4-ish, the day of the Bundy Dunes,
Yeah.
we had straight sections of sand
Yeah.
where we could just really get into the swing of sand, and we progressed our sand riding a lot more. So it would be nice to have something like that early on.
Yeah.
And go, oh, cool. You know, I've ridden dirt bikes in sand before, and you know, yep, that's a challenge, but it's doable.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how hard it was going to be with weighted adventure bikes in the sand. And it definitely was more challenging than I was expecting. But I enjoyed the challenge.
Yeah. Actually, another learning point that was interesting, I don't think you experienced it as much, because I think generally your level of experience or capability was higher. But I probably got to a point where I could do most things and I was pretty happy. But that was contingent upon the fact that I had enough energy and enough mental awareness to remain pretty hyper focused the whole time, because I had to concentrate. And once sugar levels dipped, or we got a little bit low on water, or it got a little bit late, or I couldn't see very well because the sun was going down, my ability to tackle and control the bike on that terrain plummeted. And that was
Having a bag of lollies in your bag is essential, just as a pep up.
not just for me, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But yes.
And the other thing we enjoyed was hydrolytes, just straight in the gob.
Yeah.
Little fizzy fruit tingles, we call them.
The fizziest fruit tingle you've ever had. Yeah.
It's a good hit, bit of sugar, a bit of salt,
Yeah.
straight in the
But
mouth.
dramatic. But also
It's
how
exciting in your mouth.
Yeah.
Keeps you awake.
But that your ability to achieve something that day changes
Yeah.
dramatic, and that happened when we were in the high country.
Definitely.
Most of the day we were tackling some pretty difficult terrain. I was probably at the edge of my abilities, but I was progressing and we were getting
Yeah.
along through it. Then all of a sudden that switched, the lever swung, and impossible to really achieve anything, and started really realising we were in trouble. Yeah.
Cool. Well, at the risk of droning on for all
Another
night,
hour.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who watched.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming along the journey. It's been really fun to share it. Thank you. Good luck. I hope you're interested to see what Seb does. He's got a decision to make when he gets back to Canberra. He's got 2 Himalayans, a 411 and a 450. One of them will be sold. We don't know which one yet.
We think.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to doing a bit of adventure riding around.
Welcome to Canberra.
Around.
We're in We
Yeah.
Josh is now in Canberra. Though you've achieved
Canberra
the
citizen.
intent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Um,
Deposited him in the ACT.
Yeah.
Get out of the WA. Go
I'm
away.
out. So looking forward to exploring here. To Mum and Dale, looking forward to you coming down and us doing a bit of exploring in this local area while I'm here. Should be good. Should be a good time. I feel like we need to sign off.
Yeah. Cool.
Yibbity yibbida. That's all, folks.
It's a terrible sign off. We really should have thought of that before. Yibbity yibbida.
Yeah, Rex Hunt.
100%.
100%.
100%.